everyone, welcome back to the channel and to our new episode of Writing Wednesdays. So here we've got a brand new question, and yet again this is also an opinion essay question. So this is like the third opinion essay question in a row. That's really wild, but I mean, it's something you already know. Opinion essays are super popular. Let's see. Some people believe that air travel should be restricted because it causes serious air pollution and uses up the world's resources. To what extent do you agree or disagree? Now, as I've said before, and I'll say it again because obviously I don't know if you watched all of my videos or not, so it's important that even if you're a new listener, you should know that in an opinion essay question, see, you have choice, right? You have the choice. You can decide, do you agree or do you disagree? Do you pick A or B? Which option do you go with? That is entirely up to you. Always choose the option that you feel is easy for you to come up with content for, right? Now, I personally don't think that any government has any right to restrict air travel just like that. But in coming up with enough content, I get the feeling that I may not be able to do it justice, within like 40 minutes. Of course, if you give me an entire day, I can definitely come up with something really nice. But of course, you have a time limit. And so you need to think not really what is my actual true real opinion, but rather which side of the argument do I have more points for, right? And so if I have more points for agreeing, I'm going to go and agree. If I have more points for disagreeing, I'm going to go with disagreeing. So do you agree that air travel should be restricted? Now, I think, personally, I don't think so. But I have a lot more points for agreeing. So I'm going to go with that. And again, no one's going to check. No one's going to come home and ask you, hey, so what do you really think? So don't worry about that. Right, so as I always do, first we need our main ideas. And then we're going to have 3 supporting ideas. Again, the main idea and 3 supporting ideas. This is kind of the skeleton of your entire essay, right? So I said it should be restricted, right? Air travel. So anytime you agree or you disagree, whichever side you pick, what's important is that you have 2 reasons, right? You need to have 2 reasons why you agree or 2 reasons why you disagree. So air travel is a major contributor to pollution. And of course, okay, if modes transport are encouraged, it would help reduce by a wide margin or significant. For example, trains are great. They're eco-friendly, right? People could also, well, we've got trains, we've got buses as well. You can't, however, you cannot just, for example, some trips are just not possible in a car, and that would also be kind of ultimately not so environmentally friendly. So I don't know if I'm going to go ahead with this main idea. Let's just go with, okay, using up resources, right? So air travel, there is quite a lot. When you just consider the fact how much, gas a plane needs just to operate, right? So I've got pollution, but maybe, oh, well, you know what? I'm gonna keep that main idea. Maybe I'll develop a few main ideas and keep the best one, right? So let's give that a try. I have no idea what's up with my keyboard. Traveling by plane, it's convenient, right? Why would I take like a 12-hour plane ride when I can just take a 2-hour plane ride, right? So traveling by plane is convenient, but it's really bad. So what can I say here? I've got, okay, yes, it's a major contributor. That's why we should restrict. Travel by plane is already a major. I've already said it's a major contributor. Let me think if I could just, disagree instead. If I chose to disagree, this is what I would do, right? Sometimes you just need to have, write your ideas out, and then you get a much better idea. So, no government has to pay. Oh, there we go. For example, long trips. You can't like, what are you gonna do? Go by boat from Asia to America? That's ridiculous. Long trips, not possible. Planes transport 200 plus people in one go, right? Choosing cars would be worse, right? You could travel from one state to another, sometimes even one country to another by car, but then that's not very environmentally friendly. Imagine 200 people and 200 cars, right? Or 200 people and even 50 cars, 100 cars, that will be much worse. So air travel is, yeah, okay, looks like I changed my opinion. That's really funny, but it happens sometimes. I don't know if I've ever done this before, but I do sometimes change my opinion when I'm still just, again, I'm just building the skeleton, so I don't really care. You can, remember, you're always flexible, right? No government should infringe on people's liberty to choose. It causes air pollution. This is kind of, I don't know, this is like going in a different tangent entirely. I'm going to go on a rant about people's liberty and stuff like that. So that's not really relevant. So I'm going to delete that. It's a nice sentence. Sad to see you go, but I'm gonna have to delete that. It doesn't make sense in the context. So often air travel is the only viable, realistic, option for long trips. I mean, cross-continental trips. There's no other option. There's an option, but come on, how many people are gonna travel by a ship or something? It takes too much time. Especially, with cargo, right? So yeah, of course, we still do use ships for transporting goods across the world. But yeah, it's slow. It's really slow. Okay, so I've got one nice main idea over here. I got my ideas, supporting ideas as well. Now I really need to think of the other main idea. And some people think air travel should be restricted, causes air pollution, and uses the world's resources. Um, Restricted. There's much worse. I think I could maybe put this one as the first main idea, right? And there's much worse things than just air travel. Yeah, air travel is, not the only thing causing push, right? There are much bigger factors, right? There are much worse, you could say, causes, or rather, you could say there are other things, right? Or there are other much bigger concerns that lead to, yeah, extensive pollution. Not every single person travels by plane, right? But almost every person wears clothes, right? Every person uses plastic, right? So plastic use, almost every person on the planet has used plastic, right? Almost every person on the planet, except for really, really poor people, have bought clothing that is fast fashion, it just doesn't last more than 1, 2, 3 years. Right? Because why do people buy it? Because it's cheap, right? That's the only option a lot of people have. How many people travel by plane? Not many. When you think about the entire world's population and how many people it's a very small amount, right? Because of course it's much more expensive than just, going by bus or train. Sometimes train is more expensive, but that depends on what kind of trip it is. Let's not get into that. Major, companies and their waste. Plastic use is a major problem. Companies and their waste. For example, I'll give you a nice example. This Gulf of Mexico oil spill, right? Who did that? It was one company. And often they get away, they get away with just a slap on the wrist. So yeah, there are much bigger concerns that lead to more extensive pollution. We've got plastic use. We've got industrial waste. I think industrial waste is the same thing, honestly. So I'm gonna delete this. Plastic use. Fast fashion is another concern. Every person on the planet needs to wear clothes, right? But not every person, not even half the people on the planet, not even 1/4 of the people on the planet have traveled by plane, right? So there we go. There we go. Now I've got my idea. So looks like I have changed my opinion. I know I first said that I would disagree with restricting air travel, but I'm gonna. Oh, I mean, I said I would. Huh. There are bigger concerns. Air travel is the only viable option. Okay, great. So I have said that we shouldn't, right? We shouldn't restrict air travel. Yeah, sometimes you do a switcheroo, and that's fine. You need to stay flexible, right? Because you don't know your ideas unless you have them on paper. Great, so got my ideas down here. Then I need to form an introduction. Air travel is, relatively new. I mean, it was made popular. It started being popular in the 1950s or so, and obviously, the world has changed. So, the landscape, right? Well, not landscape. Okay, let's just say the world has considerably changed over the past few decades, ever since the advent of air travel, or rather, um, we used to just have a few options. Now we have so many more, right? I'm gonna just check. Since the advent of flight, or since the advent of commercial, what are we calling it? Commercial retail? Yeah, commercial aviation. We had a hobby aviation before we had commercial. Hobby aviation, as in, people just trying to create flights and stuff. So yeah, the world has considerably changed over the past few decades, ever since the advent of commercial aviation, which has made a new mode of travel for even the average person. You can say the average Joe, but it's a bit of a casual term, so you can just use for even the average person. It used to be a super, expensive thing. Nowadays, it's pretty affordable for most people, as long as they're like middle class, which is what I mean by the average person. So the world has considerably changed over the past few decades, ever since the advent of commercial aviation, which has made a new mode of travel possible for even the average person. It it would be unwise to prevent people from being able to use this mode of transport. As a way to combat climate change. There we go. So I've made my opinion clear as well, that no, it's not a good idea to prevent people from using this. And then I've got my main idea. So I'm going to take this main idea, copy that, put that over here. Often air travel is the only viable option in many cases, right? So I'm not saying it's the only viable option, right? I'm saying often, or in many cases. So you use words like often, many, usually, a lot, some, and that allows you to avoid creating a generalized expression, right? That a generalized statement is a bad thing you want to avoid, because you cannot realistically say all cases, right? You cannot realistically say all computers, all mobile phones, all men, all women, right? Often air travel is the only viable option in many cases. Let's see. In the case... Oh, I've already... Gosh, you really want to avoid repetition. So, often travels really well loved in many cases, especially when considering long-distance travel. Although trains may be an option at times. Why is my A? Okay. They are not always available in every region, right? Wow, it's really malfunctioning. Anyway, in every, yep. So especially when considering long distance travel, although trains or buses, right? Or buses may be an option at times, not always available in every region. Not only are they not available, but they may, again, you take too much time. So that's going to be a very complicated sentence, especially when considering all the trains or buses. Maybe an option at times are not, they are not only not available, they are not only not available, they're not only not always available in every region, but they may also take too much time. Compared to a plane, right? There we go. Planes transport. Another, important factor to consider. Fact, fact that airplanes often transport hundreds of people, right? At a time. Which definitely makes up, it makes up for a large amount of fuel that an airplane needs. The only exception in this case would be private jets. Especially, I've already used especially, so I don't want to use it again. You can use it again, no problem, but I want to set a better example. So, and then cars, for example. When considering long distance travel, whoa, why am I, like, I typed W, but then my keyboard was really acting weird. I swear this is so wrong. Anyway, it travels the only viable option. Long trips, planes transport, choosing cars. Choosing cars would often be worse. If people had, oh, I think that, I'm gonna put, yeah, I'm gonna put that over. Another important factor. Do you see that? I didn't even do anything and it just, anyway. Another important factor playing to consider is that, oh, I'm not even doing anything. Well, another more factor to consider is that, using, a private vehicle, right? I swear, what is happening? I'm trying to type, but it's... Okay, I'll just decrease my typing speed a little bit. Using a private vehicle, such as a car or a motorbike, would, in fact, be less... It wouldn't just be less economical, but it would also be less environmentally friendly. Would also be rather inconvenient in many cases. Oh, for longer trips. Longer distances, in fact. And I've started another important factor. Okay. And then I'm gonna end with the fact that airplanes often transport. Okay, here I can add the fact that airplanes definitely makes up. Okay. Large amounts of. But that's environment friendly because they consume large amounts of fuel. Friendly because of their use of fuel. Although, oh, I didn't even use the caps lock. Although, yeah, although an airplane does consume or require a large amount of fuel, the fact that they often transport definitely makes up for their fuel consumption. There we go. Fuel consumption, The only exception here would be private jets. So, although an airplane does require a large amount of fuel, time definitely makes up for that. So I don't need to really use fuel consumption again. I can use this kind of pronoun. There we go. Let's see okay, this is 123. I also need to add a final sentence. So thus, when you look at it, when critically evaluated, flights can often be. Oh, I've already used often. Can be more environmentally friendly, more efficient, and yeah, or eco-friendly. Okay, that's my first paragraph. In my next paragraph, there are much bigger concerns. Okay, the first thing is plastic use, which is the most common. Most ubiquitous substance known to man. What is up? Why do I keep getting? Oh, I swear. Why is there an extra U there? I didn't even put it there. It's acting very weird. Known to the modern man. Yeah, okay. Plastic. The most ubiquitous substance one man. Plastic. It's just you cannot imagine a life without plastic, can you? Right? Is also the biggest problem or the biggest danger, right? Or the biggest problem for the environment. Come on, environment. And what makes matters worse is that there is hardly a single human being on the planet. There is hardly any person on Earth that has not used plastic. Right? I mean, it's everywhere. You can't say the same thing about air travel, right? But every single person on the planet has used plastic. It's just impossible. I have said hardly any person. I haven't said every single person because, again, even though it might be realistic to say every single person for the most part, you just cannot be sure, right? There might be some one person. Whoops, what is happening? There might just be that one person who has never used. There might be, right? Because there's many tribes, for example, uncontacted tribes. We still have a few of those on the planet. So that's why I always tell you avoid using generalized statements. They, of course, examiners do check for that, so you have to be careful. Instead, use quantifiers, hardly, any, few, some, little, many, a lot, almost all that is fine. You just use a simple quantifier and you've saved yourself from... Now, come on, why is that happening? Like, seriously. Anyway, I have to get this thing checked. Anyway, all right. Again, I'm not even typing you. Okay, anyway. What's my next idea? Fast fashion. Great, fast fashion. All right. Another contender for the title of... Okay, this is getting like too... We'll keep the writing a bit simpler. I mean, you can use, contender for the title of, the dubious title of the planet's worst enemy. Let's try another contender for the title of planet Earth's worst enemy. Fast fashion. Now, this kind of writing, another contender for the title, it can be a bit, well, kind of flowery. I mean, it's not very, very, academic. It's a bit sarcastic, you'll know tone is a bit sarcastic, which is not wrong. But this kind of thing is a bit of a risk to do in an exam, right? Especially if you're, like, let's say if your score right now is 5.5, 6 or whatever, even 6.5, don't use any sarcasm in your text. Don't take risks in an exam. That's what I mean to say. That's what I teach all my students. Don't take risks. An exam is not the time to show off your language skills. Really, no. An exam, any exam that you take, is where you play it very, very safe. You really downplay, any shortcomings that you have. Yeah. So I can write like this because I'm comfortable expressing myself, molding language to express what I feel. But in an exam, do not take any risks. In fact, I do the same thing when I take exams for German, Italian, French, Russian. I don't take risks in an exam. Right? I stick to the safest thing to do. The only thing that you really go, full 0 to 100 is your word choice, your grammar. You want to be as correct as possible. You want to use a nice range of vocabulary. That's what you focus on, not like showing off, like, oh, I learned this new thing, and none of that. You do that in real life. You don't do that in an exam. On a contender, this is also an example of a very smooth transition. Now, usually most people will use in addition, comma, moreover, comma, etc. Nothing wrong with that. Don't worry, I'm not saying you're doing something wrong. I'm just saying the difference between a 7 and an 8 and a 9 would be how smooth the transitioning is. Can you see that, oh, they've used a word that looks like a traditional transition, right? If I write in addition, comma, moreover, comma, subsequently, comma, it's not wrong. It's 100% right. That's what they look for. But somebody who gets a 9 out of 9, right, would have the kind of transitioning that you don't even realize, right? You don't even realize that, oh, they're transitioning. You don't realize it's smooth, right? And that's an example of bad 9 writing. So another contender for the title is fast fashion. Fast fashion, which, yet again, is something nearly every consumer has, encountered. These items of clothing do not last long and are also made of plastic, which all ultimately, not too long, right? Not too long after being purchased and hardly worn, end up in landfills and oceans around the world. There we go. There we go. And then my last point was industrial waste. Oh my god, this keyboard has got to go. What I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna continue writing because I get sidetracked so often. Industrial waste, okay. Industrial waste, right. Wow, this looks big. That's because I increased the text size. So you can see, right? If you look at the older videos, text size was a little bit smaller. And now I hope it's better. I mean, let me know in the comments down below if you like this, because I know a lot of people watch on their mobile phones, right? And so, well, there it's always a struggle to be able to see properly. So let me know if you want me to increase the text size or if you want to decrease the text size, whatever you prefer. Just leave a comment down below. Right, so I've got paragraph 1, paragraph 2, and my last idea is industrial pollution, right? Great. Another perhaps more sinister. I've already used another. Don't want to start like that. An equally sinister. E. Where is E? Okay, an equally sinister contributor to the Earth's woes is industrial. Industrial. Well. As effluents and waste products from large industries, and multinational corporate. Okay, an equally sinister contributor to the Earth's woes, industrial pollution and effluents and waste products from large industries and multinational corporations are often let out into water bodies. And the surrounding area. Surrounding area. And to make matters worse, I've already used to make matters worse. Let me check, because I get the feeling that maybe I've already used this. Yeah, I don't think I have. Great. Okay, cool. Have I? Okay, great. Have I already used to make matters worse? I feel like I have. Oh, I've already used make matters worse. No, okay, well, I'll delete that. And given that, in many countries, the law isn't very strong. And punishments can be evaded. Right. Often they just whoops. Okay. Let me read the sentence. An equally sinister contributor to the Earth's woes is industrial pollution, as effluents, waste products from large industries, and multinational corporations' operations are often let out into water bodies in the surrounding area. And given that in many countries the law is not quite strong and punishments can easily be evaded by powerful companies, where is my E? There we go. And given that in many countries law is not quite strong and punishments can easily be evaded by powerful companies, all this pollution goes unchecked. Unchecked and even unnoticed. Right? It makes more sense to look at bigger sources really causing major pollution. There we go. And finally, the conclusion. So, in conclusion, it is evident that, banning air travel, well, not banning, because restricting does not mean banning, right? So that making a scapegoat, right? A scapegoat out air travel. Making a scapegoat out of air travel makes no sense practically. But you can't write makes no sense. That doesn't really, it's very colloquial. It's kind of like slang. So not really slang. It's just very colloquial, very casual, very informal. So it's evident that making a scapegoat out of travel, uh, it, making, maybe I do, well, maybe I'll use something else. Oh gosh, looks like my screen just, okay, great, now you can see. So making a scapegoat out, what I'll do is, oh, it's really malfunctioning. Okay, it is evident that under careful observation, is not the biggest culprit. Yeah. When it comes to environmental pollution. So, preventing people from using it would be a bad idea. Not really a bad idea, but rather poorly would be a poor decision. Poor decision, bad idea. They mean the same thing. It's just the register. Bad idea is very, casual, informal. Poor decision means the same thing. It's just more formal, right? And then, if such a policy or law were to be introduced, it would cause a lot of chaos. Still not really help fix the pollution problem. Right, there we go. So now we're gonna have a look at the total word count. This is 428, okay. Right. Whoops, what was that? Oh, looks like the entire thing just disappeared. I have no idea why. Okay, I think I need to change my batteries. There we go. Whoa, okay. Right, so there we have the introduction. You can pause your screen to have a look. And then we have body paragraph 1 right here. We have body paragraph 2 right here. It goes a little bit on towards page 2. A little bit on the bigger side, in fact. Here and here. And then finally you have the conclusion. I didn't end up making a scapegoat, but that's fine. So there we go. All right. That's the entire thing. How did you find this essay? Leave a comment down below. And if you've watched up until here, wow, thanks. Don't forget to click on like and subscribe. We've got a lot of content, so feel free to check it out. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.